All right. Good evening. Good evening. This is the CSRN podcast, our weekend review. As always, what we're going to do, we're going to play our intro video. That'll give everyone an opportunity to like and share, make a comment, and let everybody know that we're on. This is the CSRN podcast, our weekend review. We'll be right back.
I must confess that that dream that I had that day has at many points turned into a nightmare. Now, the other thing that we've got to come to see now that many of us didn't see too well during the last 10 years, that is that racism
not guilty
is still alive in American society and much more widespread.
Broke his neck after Baltimore police.
A handful of protesters, a handful of criminals and thugs who...
Many in moments of anger, many in moments of deep bitterness, engage in riots. And as long as America postpones justice, we stand in the position of having these recurrences of violence and riots over and over again. Social justice and progress are the absolute guarantors of riot prevention.
Mr. Gray's death was a homicide.
The Negro was freed from the bondage of physical slavery.
The athletes marched onto a stage.
But at the same time, the nation refused to give him land to make that freedom meaningful. Freedom without land to cultivate. It was freedom and famine at the same time.
And create jobs for our people.
The Negro is to be free. He must move down into the inner resources of his own soul and sign with a pen and ink of self-assertive manhood his own Emancipation Proclamation. But I want to get the language right tonight. I want to get the language so right that everybody here will cry out, yes, I'm black, I'm proud of it, I'm black and beautiful. Individually, we are poor when you compare us with white society in America. We are poor. Collectively, we are richer than all the nations in the world with the exception of 9. That's power right there if we know how to prove it. We begin the process of building a greater economic base. And at the same time, we are putting pressure where it really hurts. We don't have to argue with anybody. We just need to go around to these stores and to these massive industries in our country. Say, God sent us by here to say to you that you're not treating his children right. We come by here to ask you to make the first item on your agenda fair treatment where God's children are concerned. Now, if you're not prepared to do that, we do have an agenda that we must follow. And our agenda calls for withdrawing economic support from you. We mean business now, and we are determined to gain our rightful place in God's world.
All right, we are back. This is the CSR. I like how they keep the thing up until the tape reel ends. Yeah. Hey, that's a talented brother that makes those videos for Justice or Else. We got a new one that we're going to play a little bit later on. All right, let's get started. I'm Brother Washington Muhammad. I am the co-founder of CSRN along with Mike Leonardi, who we saw on Instagram.
Yeah, we saw him the other day doing something about kids and speaking Italian and everything.
Right. It was 9 years ago, Mike Leonardi and Jabril Bey had this idea of Community Solidarity Day, and they wanted me to give a little bit of help in planning. And here we are 9 years later, still unbossed, and making a difference in our community. What am I wearing today? Just in case, as Jody always says, if you're driving, I'm not going to do his voice. I'm going to just do it regular. If you're driving or whatever. And also if you have a sight impairment, you know what we look like. I've got a black hat on, kind of medium brown. I've got brown rim glasses on. I've got a green shirt with black letters that says Channel the Energy, and that was from our Black Lives Matter Day, which will be my Black Lives Matter moment later on. I've got my beads on. The reason why I have beads is because of Jody. Before Jody, I didn't know anyone that wore wristbands like that, or crystals like this, or beads like that. So I'm taking bits and pieces of Jody, all right, and mix it up. And as always, I'm dedicated to respecting, protecting, and defending all Black bodies, no matter the cost, no matter the gains or loss. This is the home of Black Lives Matter and Justice or Else. And also, it's our last show of 2023. So listen, I've introduced myself. Jody, if you can introduce yourself, and then we're going to get right to our mission statement, guiding principles, and move it right along.
What's up, everybody? Jody J. Summers, child of the system, better known as Spoken Truth, the treasurer of this wonderful organization that keeps going and going 9 years strong. And again, for those of you that are out there, this is our last show of the year. Kind of brings a tear to my eye. But yeah, last show of the year. It has been wonderful as producer and all the other stuff. If you go to our page next week, you'll see all the guests. So when you don't see me in the seat over here, they already know, forewarning and stuff like that.
That's
but you
right.
get to see the 40 or 50 guests that we've had on in the course of this year.
Wow.
Because some days we have multiple guests, some days we have one guest, but we do around about 48 shows a year.
That's right.
Which you don't think about it until you're at the end of a cycle, and it's like, oh man, I can recap, I can think, I can, start working on 2024.
That's right.
And for those of you listening out there, I am a big brown bear of a man that is covered in tattoos and crystals and stones and bones and life breathed into me from doing stuff, from writing books, from performing, from creating artwork, helping out with fundraisers, volunteering a lot. Before I took a dime from anybody, I made sure to help out first.
That's right.
And that's where all this stuff is. The shirt that I'm wearing is a gray shirt from Sonia Organics. Shout out to her. And all the success and being a farmer and everything that's coming to the city. And yeah, I did not know when I was younger, or even when I started this after writing my first book, I would be covered in Mr. T chains.
That's
and
right.
This is, in a sense, I grew up in the 80s and stuff like that. And that was my inspiration growing up. PBS, Mr. Rogers, Mr. T, all that stuff that didn't always show us angst or violent or having to be in the church or anything like that. It just showed people living.
That's right.
They had melanin in their skin like me, but it made it different for me. And because I talk proper and stuff like that in the hood, it didn't really fit into a lot of places. And now everybody's trying to fit into, look like me, wear hats and stuff like that. So I'm happy for that. And I thank you all for listening every single week, because this is a weekly program.
That's right.
We only take off for elections.
And some self-care days.
And some self-care days, which is very necessary when you deal with everything that we do on a daily basis. I'm on call 24/7. If somebody needs me to ride up to Detroit or to New York or to be their person, that's how I get around a lot. But people, I don't really promote that, because you don't need to know I'm there because somebody else isn't so secure in themselves. You just need to know I'm there. I'm smiling, unless you make me use my stick.
All right. Hey, listen, we're doing our introductions. We're going to bring Julian in to do his intro.
See all the green room lights lighting up.
Right.
Red,
So
black, green.
Right. And then right after he does his intro, he'll give his Black Lives Matter moment and one thing that he's grateful for. Then we'll do our mission statement, guiding principles. Then we're coming back with the empowerment toolkit.
Okay,
Toolbox.
So what I'm hearing is I need to hurry up and do my moment and what I'm grateful for, right?
Right.
So what I'm grateful for is honestly my community. I don't hear a lot of artists or entertainers or stuff speak like that nowadays. And I am. 10 years ago, almost, I would not be sitting here right now had it not been for my community that listened and encouraged and even doubted. Even the doubt helped, because that let me know doors I wasn't supposed to go in. My Black Lives Matter moment is starting. The fact that we started in the first place, instead of complaining and waiting for somebody to do something for us, or telling what somebody that already had enough problems to deal with to take this on too, we started something. So that is my Black Lives moment, just taking it from a dream or an injustice on digital screens to being out in the streets and now being still here 9 years later.
All right, let's bring Julian on. See what's going on with him today. He is the inward revolutionary. Yeah. Julian, what's going on? How you doing, brother?
Revolutionary greetings, brothers. Revolutionary, and to everybody else out there, revolutionary greetings to you. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, whenever you're listening to this.
All right. So if you could introduce yourself for our listeners and those that are viewing it, and if you could give us your Black Lives Matter moment and one thing that you're grateful for, and then we're gonna get right into our guiding principles and our mission statement and come back with Anika.
My name is Julian Mack. My preferred gender pronouns are he, him. I am a revolutionary warrior of love and light. What originally drew me to this work is self-preservation, right? Self-preservation. And that is what continues to drive me to this work, and continues to, when I try to walk away, draw me back to this work over and over and over again. All right. Black Lives Matter moment. There's so many. What always stands out for me is if you look at the picture in between Jody and Brother Washington, the lowest one, right? The bottom one, which is the Martin Luther King, which was the first Martin Luther King celebration. Right. I love this story because it, I'm starting to realize, as with perspective, that when bad things happen, they're not always bad, or when we wish we did something different or better, that's not always a bad thing. All right, so I think Brother Washington was referencing that picture, or Jody, a couple of weeks ago, and you're talking about how that was slightly, I think that might have been slightly after or right before the death of Mayor D. Michael Collins. And there was a lot of phone calls about, because that was the one where we kind of just stormed up there and let them know what was what. And like, that was that reclaim Martin Luther King. It was a radical revolutionary act that day. And I was not there. And I watched it happen. And I felt, I wasn't there for a variety of reasons, but one of them, I will say that I I honestly chickened out. And that was the last time that ever happened. Right. And the reason why that sticks to me so much is because like there were so many other like that was one of the first 3 events that we did, right? And that was after I did, prior to CSRN, I did my Hands Up, Don't Shoot March, mostly by myself. And subsequently, I look at that as being such a defining moment for me, because we would be put in a lot of other situations where we would get a lot of those calls, and people would try to intimidate us, get us to back down, and things like that. And I knew after that day, I never wanted to back down or shrink in that capacity again.
Okay.
Right? And I haven't. Right. Oftentimes, Brother Washington needs to tell me, hey, bro, bring it back in, bring it back in, bring it back in. Right. And so
dial it back,
dial it back, dial it back.
All right. Yes, sir.
It was because of that experience, right, where I just never wanted to feel that way again. I never wanted to cower in the face of power, right? That I am who I am today, where you got to reel me back in, where I'm not like, let me at him, let me at him, let me at him, And so yeah, I look back at that as a moment of alchemy, right? Where, for me personally, right, I was kind of ashamed and embarrassed by myself by not stepping in and being the leader that I know I could be. But subsequently, that became the foundation that led me to be able to be the leader that I became throughout these years, and I'm still, working on improving and maintaining today.
All right, you got to give us one thing that you're grateful for. What would that be?
Oh man, patience.
Beautiful.
Patience is indeed a virtue, right? It's weird. I'm in this space, right, where I'm not in the same. I'm not gonna say where I am, but I'm not in Toledo, right? And I am in a bit of a respite where I'm recovering from all of the intensive work and all of the intensive, wounds, right? That it takes when you're trying to topple an unjust system, right? And sometimes I feel like I'm in there's this trope of the wise old black man, right? And sometimes, right, I feel like I'm in wise old black man training, right now,
okay.
right? And where I'm starting to understand some of these sayings that my elders told me so much, and I'm having to embody them.
All right.
And so
awesome.
Understanding that patience, right? With some honesty and with some trust, right? What seemed one way can seem totally different. And I'll just use my example of my Black Lives Matter moment of that, with some patience. Look at what happened from what initially I thought was a bad experience for me personally.
Well, one of the things I want to move to when we're talking about experiencing, it's to experience the mission statement, that thing that defines us. If you could, Jody, if you could start with our mission statement, and let's get, I don't know why they put the banner way at the top and it just blocks the thing. All right.
It's that tech team. I'll go, give me a second. I'm gonna go holler at the people in the back real quick in the that tech
we appreciate
team.
that.
I'll be right back. As Jody reads that, I'll try to help them get them together. Go ahead, Jody.
So for the people that want to know, how do we get so comfortable doing this? Like Julian has said, Brother Washington has said, it wasn't an easy process, but we have something, a foundation and our walls to our organization that will stand long after we're gone. We have a mission statement.
And we have our guiding principles.
And this is how we get here. Hopefully, if you're out there and you're thinking of starting something, my advice is to you to do it. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fail. You're going to be tired more than you've ever been tired in your life. But at the end, it'll be yours to own. So we are the Community Solidarity Response Network of Toledo, formed on November 25th, 2014. The day after it was announced that the killer, the Ferguson, Missouri police officer of Michael Brown, an unarmed teenager, would not be indicted. We bring awareness to the injustices experienced by Black men, women, and children who are disproportionately murdered, attacked, provoked, and harassed by law enforcement. Police brutality has to end. We bring awareness to the fact that most often, yes, most often, police brutality goes without consequence and accountability. Police impunity has to end. We utilize the tactics of protest, civil disobedience, event disruption, and citizen advocacy to give voice to those who are otherwise voiceless. We facilitate progressive, community-based events that help foster self-development, and we discuss measures to hold local leadership accountable. Yes, accountable to their sworn duties, be they politician, clergy, law enforcement, educators, etc., etc. We want justice, equal justice under the law. We want justice applied equally to all, yes, all, regardless of class, creed, or color. For all lives to matter, Black lives, yes, Black lives must matter. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
All right, thanks, Jody. Hey, listen, we're going to get right into our guiding principles. These are the things, this is the glue, because we have so many strong personalities. How do we keep them together? How do we keep the Anikas from clashing with the Jodys and the Julians from clashing with the Washingtons and the, and this is how we do it. These are our CSRN guiding principles. All Black lives matter, queer Black lives, trans Black lives, formerly and presently incarcerated Black lives, poor working class Black lives, wealthy Black lives, differently able Black lives, Black men and women lives, immigrant Black lives, Black elderly and children lives. All Black lives matter and are the creators of this space. We throw no one under the bus. We rise together. Ashe?
Ashe.
That means one who changes a thing and one who makes a thing happen. Thriving instead of surviving. Our vision is based on the world we want, not the one we're currently in. We seek to transform, not simply react. We want our people to thrive, not just exist. Think beyond the possible. Ashe?
Ashe.
Experimentation and innovation must be built into our work. Embrace the best tools, practices, and tactics, and leave those behind that no longer serve us. Ashe?
Ashe.
Evaluation and assessment must be built into our culture. Critical reflection must be a part of all of our work. We learn from our mistakes and our victories. Ashe?
Ashe.
Principal struggle can exist in a positive environment. We must be honest with one another by embracing loving, direct communication. Ashe?
Ashe.
Love, self-love is practiced in every element of all we do. Love and self-love must be a driver of our work and an indicator of our success. Without this principle and without healing, we will harm each other and undermine our movement. Ashe?
Ashe.
360-degree vision. We honor past struggles and wisdom from elders. The work we do today builds the foundations of movements of tomorrow. We consider our mark on future generations. Ashe?
Ashe.
Self-care means we build resilient spaces by budgeting time, energy, and resources for healing. Self-care is a regular, consistent, intentional, and essential practice. Ashe?
Ashe.
The most directly affected people are experts at their own lives and should be in leadership at the center of our movement and telling their stories directly. Ashe?
Ashe.
Training and leadership development should be fundamental. Our movement must constantly grow and leadership must constantly multiply. Ashe.
Ashe.
And you know what? My Black Lives Matter moment and the thing that I'm grateful for, my Black Lives Matter moment, I've got my Black Lives Matter Day shirt on. It's green. It says channel the energy. And I think that was one of our first big events that we had planned. And in that event, I received a lot of calls to not do it. I received some calls, I believe, from the Ku Klux Klan asking me to, what did they ask me to do? They asked me to bring all of our members to a place where the Klan was planning something, which was a trap. And there was a few other calls from the city of Toledo asking us not to do it. But, you know, I think that most events, big events that we've done, I always receive those calls. Hey, Brother Washington, we don't think that that'll be in the best interest of you if you do this, or please don't do this. It'll be a bad look for the city or whatever, you know. So they got to do what they got to do. I got to do what I got to do. And what I'm grateful for is having a voice. I believe that there may be 2 or 3 people that listen to what I say or may want to take my advice. And I'm grateful for that. And I take it serious. Jody, listen, we got to take a short break. Yep. We're going to come back with Anika.
Our last guest of the
I
year.
I know. And what better guest? Well, I don't know if we can still call her a guest. She's really a family.
Yeah.
But still, we'll say that. We'll say that for the sake to say.
Other
yes.
than our handsome faces, they have somebody else.
Okay, that's true. That's true. That's true. And we're going to try to get her and Asa back in the studio.
Yeah, because she gonna miss out on all them gifts. They're almost gone.
Right. So we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back. This is the CSRN podcast, our weekend review. We'll be right back.
Bells will be ringing, the glad, glad news. Oh, what a Christmas to have the blues. My baby's gone, I have no friend to wish me greeting once again. Choirs will be singing.
Now you can get the same uncompromising truth you've come to expect from the Final Call newspaper on all your connected devices. Subscribe to the Final Call digital edition today. Go to subscribe.finalcalldigital.com.
All right, we are back with our sister Anika Fields. How you doing, sister?
Hello, hello. How are you?
We are great. We are great over here, as in our great CSRN tradition. Could you introduce yourself and something that you're grateful for? And I do want to say for our audience, we want to thank you for adding that gratitude ingredient to what we do. So now that's a staple of what we do when we talk about one thing that we're grateful for. And we would not be doing that. We would not be talking about gratitude were it not for you. So big ups to our sister Anika Fields for that. All right. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, it is my pleasure to be here with you all. I appreciate you so much, everybody out there listening. And thank you for the opportunity again. I enjoy it. I enjoy hearing everyone's list of gratitude and their moments that they share with us. So thank you for that. So again, my name is Anika, and I am joining you guys virtually today. And I am wearing a black shirt with a black sweater and white and black plaid pants. Now, my black sweater, I noticed around 5 o'clock, it was on inside out. So all day long. And I had this huge meeting where I had a Black Lives Matter moment. And then I discovered my sweater was inside out.
Oh,
So I
wow.
figured that meant that they understood I meant business. So
Yeah, you probably started a new style. I guess I should wear mine backwards, inside
yes,
out.
yes. And so what I'm grateful for today, I'm grateful for an opportunity I had to share some fellowship and spiritual development with a group of women where it was a safe space for us to speak, be heard, and have some wisdom passed down from older women, younger women, and it went both ways and it flowed freely. And I'm so grateful for that because correction is something, especially spiritual correction,
Mm,
teaching are something that I don't notice so much anymore. I don't know if you guys have experience like being in church and you'd be sitting on the bench or the pew, and if you were, feeling too much or doing something, one of the mothers would reach out or point a finger or do something.
yes.
You got that correction, and that kind of helped you develop discipline. And I was so grateful to have that, and it was just sharing a different perspective with me that I hadn't been introduced to. So I'm grateful that I had that safe space to express what I wanted to express and receive some words of wisdom and help. And then I have a Black Lives Matter moment that I would like to share today because it is very much fundamental to what is done here at CSRN. But I'm proud of myself because today I had an opportunity to speak out, speak up, and be bold and really express directly and without backing down some details of a situation in which race was definitely an issue and ignorance more so than anything. But I was able to boldly step up and proclaim, I will not shrink myself to fit your agenda or spare your feelings. And I'm really proud of that because
That's beautiful.
yeah, because this was a male, and sometimes the raising of the voice can be intimidating, but no, I stayed right with him, and as high as his head went, mine went right with it. So I'm proud of myself, and happy that I had that moment to speak up not only for me but for us as a culture.
Now that's beautiful. For the people that are watching that may be hearing you for the first or second time, we had talked earlier about adding the component of gratitude into the revolutionary work that we do. When did that come on your radar? When did that appear on your radar? The principle of gratitude or that virtue. How did that happen for you?
So the principle of gratitude came about as a way to reset and renew myself from some pretty tumultuous racial intolerance and hate crimes we were experiencing. So it got to the point where I had to figure out something and figure it out quickly. So doing some research to see what could help, because as advocates, even if we're advocating for ourselves, if we're advocating for someone else, we need to take an opportunity to renew. And for a while, I wasn't doing that. So I got to
Right.
the point where I had to figure out something. And I looked at a lot of data and research on the practice of gratitude and how it could improve many things, such as your health, your outlook. Like I think I mentioned before, one of the pieces of data was journaling or just writing down 3 things a day that you're grateful for over a period of 30 days can help decrease your blood pressure by like 10%, according to this particular study. But it was just a way to engage in self-care because I realized that I had to, you know, and it was very helpful for me. It was very helpful for me, and that's important for us as advocates. That's
Right.
important for us in the area of social justice because we hope it stops, but it's just never stops right now. So we
That's
can't
true.
keep going until we crash and burn. We have to take some time and find something that's going to help us decompress, and that's
Right.
going to help us get out all of those emotions and things that we're experiencing, or else they could erupt.
Right. You know, we had Julian on last week, and he talked about the inward revolutionary, where he talked about some of those feelings. And, you know, but every day I run into some naysayers regarding gratitude and forgiveness. And I was in a company of some naysayers yesterday, and they said, well, Brother Washington, what you're saying is all cool, but isn't that gratitude and that forgiveness stuff, doesn't it minimize what's already happening? So I said, well, I'm gonna ask Anika tomorrow. All right. So I hope they're gonna listen to this later on. So when you talk about taking some time out and being grateful for the things that you have, does that mean that I'm minimizing some of the things that have happened to me, or I'm forgetting about the things that have happened to me? Can you explain for those people in the back?
Absolutely, and that's a great question and a common concern or common rebuttal people have sometimes. And again, without getting into all the numbers and everything, expressions of gratitude and thankfulness have a host of benefits that have been scientifically proven. And just because you train your brain to choose to focus on positive, it doesn't mean that you minimize some of the challenging things that we may deal with. It is just that our brains are not, and our bodies are not designed for us to be in constant survival mode. You know, there's the three
That's
F's I
right.
call: fight, flight, or freeze. Well, that was great, back when we had to go out and club our food over the head and drag it in the house, because it kept us safe. It kept us, alive in a lot of cases. But we
That's
don't
right.
have that now. So what we're doing when we're not taking the time to decompress is basically you're running all this adrenaline through your system, and it's just running and running and running and running on a constant basis, and it contributes to many health problems. It contributes to fatigue, stress, depression. Even I've seen some studies connected to it contributing or having a correlation to high blood pressure and heart disease. I've even seen those and can share that information in the future. But just taking the opportunity to express gratitude, what it does is it trains your mind to be able to turn on and turn off whatever mechanism or function that you need at that particular time. So you're not running your body, into the ground. If you think of it this way, if you have a vehicle you drive,
Right.
you don't leave that vehicle running 24/7. You turn that vehicle off sometimes, because that vehicle is not going to function optimally if it's just constantly running 24/7. So you turn it off to give it a break. What you're doing when you're focusing on gratitude is you're essentially giving your mind an opportunity to reshift your thoughts and help your physiological, or basically help your body be calm. It's training your brain. Now, when you want to turn it on and it's time to go out and it's time to take out the signs and it's time to stand up and it's time to speak, your body will never fail you. That adrenaline is always going to come in when it's necessary. But do we want our adrenaline to run us down and control us, or do we want to control our
That's right.
adrenaline by training our brain on how to handle different situations?
Well, this is a different Anika than we met in, I think, 2017 or 2018. Now, how has the family embraced the journaling, the gratitude? What do they say?
You know, like everything else, there's sometimes things are great, and sometimes it's like, oh, I don't want to do this. Why do I have to do this today? So we're human beings. We may have to deviate and take some different routes to accomplish that goal or be creative. So oftentimes, like with my 10-year-old son with Asa, we will just say our list on the way to school or on the way home from
Oh,
school.
that's awesome.
And I observe the impact of how much more positive his mood is. And even I've observed how his days go. And even when he starts to be a little testy, I'll ask him to tell me 5 things that he's grateful for. And so he doesn't get too repetitive. And so he really has to think about it. I'll throw in 5 things that you can't buy with money. And so when you do that,
That's awesome.
it makes him really think, and it makes that brain change and shift and say, okay, it's time for me to think about, it's time for me to look at something positive. And then it's amazing how the next moments go. So we're human, we're fallible, we're not always consistent, and that's okay. We have to make some adjustments, and I share that because that may be other people's experience, or that's okay if you need to do that.
All right. Before we go, I really wanted to talk about the book that you wrote, both you and Asa. Why is it important that families understand the importance of journaling, or why do you think it's important that families even give it a try?
That's a great question too. Journaling is one of those tools. It's one of many tools that can assist you with developing healthy habits, and that could be positive thinking. So instilling or making an effort to instill that experience and that value into my family, my minor child in particular, is important because it really gives him the opportunity to use those skills to refocus, use those skills to write things down so that he can sometimes express and get out some things that he may be having trouble with. And even for my daughters and him as well, it's an opportunity to look back. It's a keepsake. It's an opportunity to look back and see some of the things that you may overcome. It's an opportunity to look back and see some of the prayers, intentions that may have come to fruition. So it's one of those skills that I don't widely remember hearing about growing up. In fact, I don't ever remember hearing about growing up, but it's one of the most useful skills at helping us to renew, to rejuvenate, to renew, and to learn how to control our minds instead of letting our minds control us.
That's beautiful. And lastly, Anika, I guess I didn't text you that I was going to ask you this, but what can we expect from Anika Fields in the Empowerment Toolkit next for 2024?
So for 2024, the Empowerment Toolkit, and again, I entitled it the Empower Toolkit. We're just getting up and moving, but the goal is to empower, uplift, and encourage individuals, be it children, male, female. We all need to be refueled. We all need our buckets filled, as I say with Asa. So we plan on doing some workshops with a couple organizations where we're going to have some mother-son, mother-daughter journal writing activities. I plan on doing some workshops on gratitude journaling and how to reduce stress through journaling, things like that. So be on the lookout for that. And we plan on actually releasing some more journals.
Oh, that's great.
Awesome.
We got a couple we're working on, so we're going to keep that under wraps. But yeah, we plan on releasing a few more journals and just hope to share what we've experienced as a way to decompress and kind of help focus with other people, because it really did make an impact on our lives. I don't think Asa and I would have survived COVID if we didn't find a skill set that worked for us, because he's my child, and yeah, all that good stuff. But it's good too because it increases communication. It helps him to say things that he may not be may not have the skill or courage to kind of say out loud, and it helps us better understand one another as well. So I do, before I go, I do have two things I wanted to share with you. I wanted to bring a couple fun gratitude statistics, if that's okay.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So I was looking at some information on here, and I saw something that was really interesting. It's actually a few things, but I'll just pick two here. And so, looking at the workforce, I found a statistic that sampled a big company, and they came back with the data that 70% of employees would feel better about themselves if their boss were more grateful, express more gratitude. 81% would work harder. I'm gonna give you another one, and I'm gonna ask you guys what your thoughts because I thought that was pretty interesting. And I kind of think, if I was in a situation and my boss were a little bit more grateful, I'd probably be motivated to,
That's right.
do a little bit more. So, another one of those gratitude statistics that I wanted to share is, and I want to get a good one, and I'm trying to narrow it down, is regular gratitude journaling rather, has been shown to result in 5 to 15% increases in optimism and 25% increased sleep quality. So that's how long it takes you to fall asleep and then the duration of your sleep. So that is pretty interesting. So just a couple things I wanted to share. And what do you guys think about that?
Well, before I say anything, let's bring Julian in here.
All right.
Right, Julian. Right, we just got asked some hard questions, so Jody nudged me. And he said, we gonna bring in reinforcements.
Hi, Julian.
Okay, so, hey, what's up, Anika? I definitely wanted to say, I wanted to add a little bit to the you wonderful work you're doing around gratitude and around processing feelings, and so
thank you, appreciate you, fam.
No problem. So this idea that we can only be one thing or another, or black and white thinking, is got to go, right? We're human beings, and as human beings, we're complex individuals and capable of many multifaceted things, right? And so this idea that we have to be grateful or we have to hate everything and we have to choose one or the other is simply immature, right? Maturity and growth, right, is being able to have what I've been doing a lot of reading lately, right? What Richard Rohr calls a non-dual contemplative thinking, right? Non-dual contemplative thinking. So it can be both, and yes, I'm mad at that, and I'm grateful for that. And it's not an either or, it can be a both and being able to hold both and is a true sign of maturity, right? Literal thinking is the lowest level of thinking, right? And so when we take it out of the box, look at it, hold both, turn them around, and really appreciate everything for what it is and what it isn't, right? We are able to live more wholly and fully, and our full true selves.
I like that. I like that.
So let's get him to answer that question, Anika. All right, that way Jody and I will have.
I did not answer the question that was asked, right? You got to run it back by me one more time, one more again, right?
All right. So I gave two what I thought were pretty interesting facts about gratitude or gratitude statistics, and I asked what your thoughts were. So I'll go over it again really quick. One of them was 70% of employees would feel better about themselves if their boss were more grateful or expressed more gratitude, and 81% would work harder. And the other one I had selected was regular gratitude journaling has been shown to result in 5 to 15% increases in optimism and 25% increased sleep quality. So for sleep quality, the duration of sleep and how long it takes you to fall asleep. So what are your thoughts? I'm interested on everybody's thoughts on that.
Yeah, so thank you for that, and that's a wonderful question. Another book I've been reading, right? I'm gonna just start plugging books each week. Attention Span, Find Focus, Fight Distraction, a groundbreaking way to restore balance and happiness and productivity, right?
All right, I'm looking for a new book too.
Oh, I got a lot for you. Just shoot me a message. I got you. I got you. I got you. Yeah. So we are capable of dozens of thoughts in a moment, dozens of thoughts, right? So what we choose to focus on, what we choose to give our attention to matters, right? So when you think of the fact of dozens of thoughts in a moment, right? And you add up those moments over a day, right? There's tens of thousands of thoughts that we have, some conscious, some subconscious, some unconscious, right? And so what we have to control what we can control, right? That has to do with the whole surviving over thriving, which is what I was going to talk about in just a minute, right? But part of that is taking ownership over what we can control, right? Okay, yes, there are lots of negative. It can be a sick, sad world, right? If that's all we choose to look at. And in the words of Louis Armstrong, it can also be what a wonderful world, right? If that's what we choose to look at. It all depends on what we choose to focus our attention on. And it's not one or the other, it's both ends.
Yep, and it doesn't mean that we're minimizing one thing or another.
Correct. We as mature, you know what I mean, fully developed human beings with the prefrontal cortex, right? Like we have the ability to be able to hold more than one thing at a time. Even W.B. Du Bois described that as the double consciousness, right? Where I can see myself as how I fit in white society, and I can see myself as a Black man that is separate from that society, and I can have two consciousnesses at one time. So if I can have two consciousnesses at one time, all right, I can hold two ideas at one time, at the very least.
This is true. Great point. I'm glad you're talking about survival versus thriving, because, you know, that is such an unfortunate cyclical event. And I think it's designed that way, honestly, to keep certain people in survival mode. Because if we're continuing to function in survival mode, it's very hard to break out into thriving.
I'm gonna have to get into the chat.
And I'm so glad you said it's a cycle, right? When we are surviving, I don't want to go past that too fast, right? Because that is such a powerful word that you said there. When we are surviving, we are in a cycle, and things happen over and over and over and over and over again, right? And it becomes survival can become a type of mental and emotional thought slavery all in itself, right? And I just want to make it plain in the words of Angela Davis: we have nothing to lose but our chains, right? So when we break that cycle by gratitude, right, by journaling, by implementing all of these healthy practices, right, we break the mental, the emotional, those thought chains of slavery, so that we can be free inwardly, right? So we can have that inward revolution, right? So we can have that inward revolution. That's a perfect segue.
So what was your answers? Did you answer both questions?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Never mind, Jody.
I think so. I mean, If you want me to keep talking, I can, but I'm getting
never mind, Jody.
the metaphysical vibe through the bandwidth of the internet waves coming to me from Brother Washington that he's
so
ready
we're going to give
say
our
something
answers
now.
because we've had some time to think about the two questions about the job and about everything else. Brother Washington's going to go first.
Oh, thanks, Jody. I was going to say, hey, look, guys, it's 5 minutes to 7. We need to. All right. So I think it's really important on the job because there's some people that I supervise, and I make sure that I see them because I realize that showing up for your job does not mean that you like to be here. Showing up at your job could mean that you'd rather be somewhere else. And you have to be grateful that that person didn't ghost that job today because people do. You don't have to show up for work. I don't have to show up here. I choose to. And if I choose to, it would be nice if someone was considerate enough to thank you. Yeah. And just because I'm doing my job doesn't mean that I don't deserve thanks.
Yep.
Because I do good work. And I know I'll go over and beyond. Just showing up to punch in 5 minutes late is over and beyond for me. So I really believe that it's critical, especially in the workforce now, that we do show some gratitude. And also I believe that writing those words of gratitude down, it's like a mental tattoo that you put on your mind that you wrote this. You thought about it enough to make it real. So that's my thought about that. And thank you for bringing it to what we say, write your own story. Thank you, Julian.
Awesome.
So, Jody, and then we'll take a short break. We're going to come back with a condensed version of the Inward Revolutionary because we just heard the first 7 minutes right here. All right. And then we got to get to our shout outs and concerns. And then they're going to flick the lights on and off.
So actually, yes, I have a very good background in this. In my lifetime, I've had over 54 different jobs. From everything from roofing to sewer work, sitting at a desk, being a bounty hunter, being a carnival worker, being in restaurants.
All 54, Jody, please. I ain't gonna have no
time. I'm sorry, Jody. I'm sorry, Jody, but look who's talking.
I'm sorry.
Everything. And through that, over
I'm just joking.
Of my working career and stuff like that, I've learned, yes, it makes a difference. Out of all those jobs, the only ones I remember are the ones where I was mistreated or the ones where I was treated well, because a lot of them were temp jobs, day labor. You know, you go out, build a roof one day, the next day you're demolishing a store. And I only remember the ones, mostly the ones where I was acknowledged other than a number, other than the person getting this paycheck done or something like that. I've also managed teams in politics, and I'm an elected official. So I have 453 units in my precinct. And by the response from my social media and everything like that, and again, I don't talk about it a lot because it's not something I want you to remember me for doing, but yeah, when my constituents see me, I'm smiling, I'm happy, no matter what's going on. No matter whether somebody's getting fired or reelected, I don't take that with me because that's not part of my job. I try and make people feel appreciated no matter what my position is. Even if I'm on stage, as people know in the open mic community and stuff, I will pull you up there too. What do you mean I'm featured? Give them 5 minutes because that's life. And the other part is journaling and stuff. Yeah, I would not be here had I not physically got down, started journaling, stopped posting, and wrote a book. My books are my journals of my life. Can't wait till this number 17 comes out. I got maybe another chapter to do, but yeah, journaling is something I think everyone needs to do. Because I didn't have a journal when I was a kid. Now I do, and I see the difference and growth in myself.
All right. Hey, listen.
Oh, go ahead.
And I want to thank Jody for sharing that growth with us. You know what I mean? Like it's been a pleasure to share that growth with us, right? Because as you grow and as we get to bear witness to it, you inspire growth in others. And that's a beautiful thing that you share, that you make the choice to share with us. You could keep that to yourself. And so Ashe, brother,
Right.
Ashe.
All right, Anika, before we go to break, you were just about to add something.
Yeah, I was actually just going to add to what Jody and Julian and you had mentioned or said something about as well. There's something about writing with a pen and paper. Yeah, you can write out what you're grateful for. You can type it out on your phone or your paper or I'm sorry, on your phone or on your computer. But there's something about the activation and the process that takes place when it is from thoughts to writing utensil to actual paper.
That's correct. Hey, listen, it's about 7:00. We're going to take a short break. We're going to come back with the Inward Revolutionary. This is the CSRN podcast, our week in review. We'll be right back.
Canal. En esta hermosísima ciudad de Orlando.
I'm here in Barranquilla, Colombia, and in sunny Miami. Daytona Beach, mis amigos, that's where we're at today.
Desde la ciudad de Cartagena, Colombia.
We are in Orlando right now, here in Florida.
I'm Helene Sheets, Director of Marketing and Communications at beautiful Lourdes University, and we've been a proud sponsor and supporter of Voces Latinas TV for over a decade. It has been a fantastic partnership. It's been our doorway into the Latino community. We've met so many incredible people, created so many partnerships. Our students absolutely love the connections we've made through Voces Latinas TV, and we're looking forward to at least another decade, 2 decades.
All right. Shout out to our brother Tony Rios and Voices Latina. That is one of the great television stations right here in the city of Toledo. And we look forward to collaborating and planning with brother Tony in 2024, if the universe permits. I don't want to speak things out there that the universe hadn't confirmed, so I always say that. Hey, listen, we're going to switch gears, Jody. A great addition to the things that we do not only is Anika, but also to be the ability to look inward. And when Julian came up with that term, the inward revolutionary, I'm like, okay, I've never heard those words before. So let's bring Julian to the forefront. Julian, inward revolutionary, where did that come from? What led to that thought? And why is it important for us to look inward?
Yeah. Well, we could change the whole world if we can only change ourselves. You know what I mean? If each of us could just change ourselves, we could change the whole world, right? And
That's
so
right.
understanding that, again, we do both and, right? We are seeking and continually pushing for revolutionary changes in the way that these unjust systems function. We also have systems within our own body, and we also have familial systems, right, outside of community and society as a whole, right? And so understanding what we can do inwardly, right? What can I do that's in my power right now, right? What can I change within myself? And that just goes exactly into what I'm going to talk about today, and I'm really not going to share many of my own words. I want to amplify this part of this book from Sister Nidra Glover Tawwab, right? This book, Drama Free, Guide to Managing Unhealthy Family Relationships, from the same author, Set Boundaries, Find Peace. And again, this is specifically in regards to thriving instead of surviving, right? And in regards to family relationships. So I'm going to read this. Being a victim might feel better than accepting control. It is possible to be victimized without becoming a victim. People can do things to you, but your life doesn't have to become a reflection of what they did. Victims tend to believe they're powerless, even in situations where they own absolute power. She says she once heard someone say at 40 years old, "I'm never going to college because my parents never talked to me about college." She wasn't in control of her ability to take charge of her life. Even at 40, she still held her parents responsible for what she could currently create for herself. You aren't a victim of your circumstances. You are what you choose to become in spite of or as a result of your circumstances. Trauma may be a part of your story, but it doesn't reflect the entire person that you are. Even though dysfunction impacts your confidence and desire to try, you can gain confidence through striving. Victim statements might sound like, "My parents never taught me this, therefore I can't do that. It isn't my fault. I never learned how to blank. I'm not responsible for how I turned out." How to disrupt the patterns of being a victim. And remember, this is within a family context. Don't make excuses for things that you can control. Decide to move forward despite what happened. Let go of grudges. Acknowledge that, hey, I'm perfect. Explore what you've learned. Practice assertiveness. Stop comparing yourself to others. Identify ways that you can better care for yourself. Understand your feelings and learn to express them. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back, right? Because that's a big one. Understand your feelings, my feelings, right? And I must learn to express my feelings, all right? Minimize or eliminate self-pity, right? It will keep you stuck, right? I like to say, when I should on myself and follow the big butts in my life, they lead to my self-pity party, right? I'm gonna say that again. When I should on myself and follow the big butts in my life, but if they lead to my self-pity party, okay? And lastly, identify what we can control and own our own power. An excellent way to move beyond the identity of a victim and reclaim responsibility for our own life is to consider what we learned from our experiences. So for instance, as a result of the fact that my parents were workaholics, I developed a close relationship with elders outside of my family who are still surrogate parents. I learned how to get to the point quickly because my parents were impatient when I provided many details. So teaching ourselves what we were never taught is one of the most powerful ways to break those cycles and to own our own power. Right? We always say all power to the people, all power to the people, all power to the people. And on May 30th, I said, and the people have all the power. It's important we practice the power that we have within ourselves, right? What can I do today to make me a better me that future me will thank me for tomorrow, right? And I will continue to say this maybe every time, you know, you're looking at, you know, this, when I look at me, right, there's past me, there's present me, the one right in front of you that you're listening to right now, and then there's future me. And then there's all of y'all. The person I need to have the best relationship with in my life is future me. Right? What can I do today that tomorrow me will thank me for? Right? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do that I'll be happy I did tomorrow? Because even if I have you know, I've suffered from depression, I suffer from anxiety and all that stuff, right? A lot of that comes from me having a tight-knit relationship with my former self and older versions of myself. But when I serve the future version of myself, I continue to build trust within myself. I continue to build honesty within myself and this momentum and patience, because I realized that over time, I increase the gratitude that I have in my actions. Right. And then I become more grateful tomorrow in the present for who I was today.
I love it. I want to say one thing if I can.
Absolutely.
You
Please.
said, Julian, that you suffer from depression and anxiety. I'm going to take that.
Yes.
And I would ask for you to consider saying you are overcoming depression and anxiety. You're an overcomer.
Thank you. Yes, I am more than a conqueror. That's right. That's right. Ashe.
All right. Hey,
Ashe. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Because words are so important, right? Like, and our body automatically responds to the words that we say, especially in regards to ourselves, right? And I'm working on, all right, becoming more aware of how I describe myself and speaking power into myself as opposed to and speaking positive things in my life, speaking things that future me will thank me for, as opposed to having that. That's the exact thing I was talking about in action, right? Like that's exactly what I'm saying, right? So thank you so much. I will be better at that.
That's beautiful. Julian, we're going to get into our shout outs and solutions, and then we're going to come right back with our 5 minutes of heat. Jody, can you go first? And then I'm trying to find our the Kwanzaa flyer.
Yeah. So just going over, I'm going to read this line real quick again from our mission statement: to hold local leadership accountable to their sworn duties, be they politician, clergy, law enforcement, educators, etc., etc. So me, several other city council members, Toledo Design, and a lot of people from the east side. If those of you out there don't know me, I am Precinct Captain 18C, which is the Weilers, which is the constituents that I have in the electoral process. And I also run food banks and other stuff like that. So we got a message anonymously through the chain of commands of people that, don't want to see stuff happen, that Sacred Hearts is going to be demolished. So we all came and set up. It was a packed house and everything to talk to the diocese about what was going to happen. And we had our ideas about making it a shelter or having other programs run out of it, because if you've ever been over there, there are houses literally next to it. It's been a food pantry, it's been a shelter, it's been a place of congregation since the late 1800s. And we were told that in so many specific words, why do you care about a thing? And that they have moved on, that they are condensing their resources to better reach the people as they tear down another church and turn it into a parking lot. I'm a Buddhist, by the way. So religiously, it doesn't affect me like that. But being there, hearing people whose great-great-grandmother, grandfather, or grandmother, working stuff back in the 1800s was different, built the roof or changed the steps. Our own city council and everybody came and tried to talk to them, and we decided to have an intermission after things got heated in a little way, and they walked out. There's some video on my page. I believe I've shared it to CSRN and stuff like that.
Yeah, we got it.
Just walked out. And basically, they brought their lawyers and said that it's going to be done. We've been in litigation as far as church law, which is listening to church law. It really sounds like politics to me, in the process of this person getting in that person. So for the last 3 years, they decided for us what was best for the community as they come and try and bulldoze a historic building next to houses within literally a foot away. If you go over there, there's a house and other stuff. But anyway, so that's where we were, trying to make the city accountable. They gave us a Blues Brothers mission, said 30 days, and we'll find out. They didn't even want to have the meeting, but it has to go through the proper channels. And thankfully, the proper channels in that office let us know the people know what was going to happen. So maybe something to change within the next, 26 days now?
26. You're right.
But if not, just be prepared. The East Side, we are some interesting folk. You might see somebody on the news stapled to the door or chained to the door. Be forewarned. And then on a beautiful note, though, because again, I'm trying to minimize my stuff going out into the community. If you do see me, say hey, tap me, because I always have my headphones on. I don't want to be rude, but there's a lot of stuff going through my head. But we had the Duncan for Donations number 14 on and Brother Rush is just showing the wrong flyer again.
Is that the wrong flyer?
But the right one's on our page.
Oh, okay.
But and he even came out to a basketball game. We were one of the sponsors and donators and stuff like that. But this is maybe 9 or more for me since I started deciding to be more public. And I definitely want to give a shout out to all the sponsors. Shout out to the concessions. Shout out to 3 men in particular, and a woman who's been actually around for the last couple of years, who probably doesn't get shouted out enough, but Tracy Haynes, Gutter Dave,
that's right,
Charlie Hampton, and Kenyatta. I think I said her name right.
I think you did.
Also Village Academy and Alexis Sims, Hoodstock, which is, burger, or I know street names in instances of stuff. Don't ask me why, but it was nice to see a lot of dancers showed up. There was dance teams and a lot of stuff for anybody that was not able to make it because it was a school night. We get that. We're still, living in our 4 a.m. days, but this final score, I believe, was 93-76. So thank you to all the people that actually showed up. Because charity work is not something you get paid off of.
That's right.
It's not something, and I'm probably going to make a post on this later on. If you're asking me for the receipt so you can do it as a tax write-off, you might as well be giving a homeless person money on camera, because that is not charity work to me. This is why I'm the treasurer of so many things, because I don't see that a tax write-off means you don't really care. It means, I want to show face. I want to be on that little flyer, but give me my money at the end of the year back. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Thank you to everybody that showed up. Shout out to those 3 young men and everybody that's been keeping this going for 14 years.
That's right.
14 kids in the inner city. 14 years of kids in the inner city have received gifts from men they might have barely not known at all. So, and it wasn't because we thought there was grant money behind it or it was going to look good on the news. Hell, most of the year's news never even showed up for us.
That's right.
Thank you for the news that did show up this year. And yeah, that was my week. Giving stuff. I gave out Care Bear gear boxes with hoodie apparel, i.e. seen behind me. I gave out a whole bunch of stickers and yeah, it was fun. I'm happy to be a part of something like this every year.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Hey, listen, real quick, and I really do mean real quick. I want everybody, if you can, show up this year at Kwanzaa 2023, 2024, the Toledo Kwanzaa House, and all of the board that has been organizing Kwanzaa for at least the last 15 years that I've been involved. But Mother Gordon has been doing it since the mid 60s. And through the inception of Kwanzaa, it's not a religious holiday. It's not a political thing. It has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with religion. It's an African-American cultural celebration that we celebrate the principles that all of our grandparents taught us or wanted to teach us. So from the 26th to the 1st, come to the Frederick Douglass. Doors open at 5. The celebration starts at 6. You don't want to miss it this year because this year we kind of we made a big change in our organizing and planning. Mother Gordon is no longer the primary chair. It's our brother Rashid Spencer, who is, I think he may be 22, 23.
Young.
He's very, very young. And my job is to make sure that he gets everything that he needs. My job is to be that Swiss Army knife for him. Whatever he needs, I'm going to do. And I love to be able to transfer that's in one of our principles.
Yes, it is.
Regarding leadership. What does it say? Well, I don't even have my paper in front of me. But anyway,
constantly grow.
Right, absolutely. And I love that about Toledo Kwanzaa House. I love that about CSRN. I can't wait to be a part of it this year. And before we even leave off of that, our Kwanzaa word of the day today is Ujima. That's Ujama, cooperative economics. That's to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses and profit from them together. I think that before we took our break, we played our new Justice or Else commercial that talked about canceling Christmas regarding the corporate greed, and spend some money with yourself. So if you know a local vendor out there like Anika Fields and you want to get a gift for someone, doesn't even have to be a Kwanzaa gift. It could be a Christmas gift.
Like a gratitude journal. I think that's a really good gift.
Right, like a gratitude journal. As a matter of fact, if you really think about it, read the trailer right there and you can see where to get it. They are on sale. They're locally made, all right? And you are recycling dollars into our community. And if Black Lives Matter, so does Black Dollars. So get your book. Matter of fact, get 2. Get one for a friend. Well, get 3. Get one to me, all right?
I was going to ask them to get one for me, too. That's a good one. Get 4.
Right.
I got brother.
Can I say something really quick, Brother Washington? Because it's a reoccurring theme that I'm noticing right now. Kwanzaa is a type of gratitude in itself, right? So often, and I think sometimes we Oftentimes, folks try to define our Blackness by just the negativity that happens to us without the long ancestral traditions, right? Without connecting us back to so much positivity, right? When I couldn't help but notice, like when I think about the principles of Kwanzaa and practicing them, it's almost like a practice of gratitude all in itself.
Well, you know, if we depend on Hollywood, we will be inundated with slave movies. All right, if we counted on Hollywood, we'd be catching a fade every day, and there's so much watching us lose and having a white savior beneficent to come in at the end and save us. That's part of our imbalance now, that we continue waiting for those to do for us that which we could do for ourselves. And my last shout out and concern is just an update on the Nation of Islam's lawsuit, $4.8 billion lawsuit against the Anti-Defamation League and the Simon Wiesenthal Center. And just to add this, that for over 40 years, the defendants have falsely labeled Minister Farrakhan and the NOI as anti-Semites and anti-Semitic because of difference in theological viewpoints and for its pointing out the behavior of some members of the Jewish community, among other things. This false labeling has hindered Minister Farrakhan in his mission, which is to deliver the truth taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that will correct the condition of spiritual, mental, and moral death of the Black man and woman in America that came as a result of 310 years of chattel slavery and over 150 years of oppression and suppression thereafter. So we're taking this fight, which is probably one of our most sensitive fights that we've ever took. We tried to sit down and correct this small group that controls so much that they never wanted to come to the table. So we're taking it into the into the court. In that court, it's the federal court of the Southern District of New York for First Amendment violations and for defamation. So look out for this. It's not in the local media because they will not put it in the local media because we're challenging that. We're tired of our people getting canceled for speaking truth to power. We're tired of our people being targeted because of speaking up for themselves. And we're targeted for our people being oppressed because we can't be as bright, as intelligent as our former slave masters and their children want us to. So as we move forward, when there's going to be some more developments, we'll make sure you get those developments. And also, there's a QR code if you want to see the complaint statement and some of the evidence, some of the papers that support this. I'm missing my word. Some of the exhibits. There's hundreds of exhibits that go along with this. So this isn't something that we just thought of and decided to grind our gears. This is something that's going to benefit everyone that wants to be free. This is going to benefit everyone that wants to speak their truth, no matter what CNN or the owners of Disney or the owners of ABC think. And once this is done, our people will be free to teach each other the truth about themselves, who they are, and whom they are. So, but make sure we support Kwanzaa. Make sure that we support those in our community, like Duncan for donations. Let's make sure we support everyone that's already doing something. That's what's going to be up for 2024, as it was for 2023. Jody.
Brother Washington?
Yes.
I just want to say thank you for sharing the information about that lawsuit. I started looking at parts of it. And what you said, I would echo. If it wouldn't have been shared with CSRN here, I probably would have never known anything about it. And it could really be a landmark case. So it's important for as many of us as possible to see and understand what's going on, because it has an impact on all of us down the line. It has, from such time ago, 400 years ago or so, all the way down.
Right.
So.
That's right. And there has never been the fight taken to this small group that controls so much. So many of us as leaders have already have a covenant with this group, and that prevents us for speaking truth. A lot of our organizations have a covenant with this small group that controls so much, which makes a lot of our Black organizations non-existent, because most of us can only protest, most of us could only sit in or wade in or die in. But when it comes to changing our economic landscape, our moral landscape, that's where a lot of our other organizations are told, hey, listen, you stick with the non-economic liberal agenda that we gave you. We bankroll you guys, so do what we say. And that's some real spill right there. So, and we have, the Nation of Islam has the best lawyers, hands down. The best researchers, hands down. I'm so proud to be a part. I'm not on that research team, but bar none, these brothers and sisters that are going to represent us are putting it all on the line and leaving nothing on the table. So as updates come in, as they're shared with us, I'll make sure we share them with everyone in this space.
Awesome.
Jody, I don't mean to make a hard shift, but we're going to make a hard shift. All right.
Good shift.
All right.
That's the last show
all right.
of the year.
Yes.
All right. That's
the last show of the year.
That's right.
I'm so happy to be here with you guys for the last show of the year.
And the last poem of the year.
Oh,
yes.
I didn't think about it like that.
I'm here for that.
I just wanted to point out my red, black, and green. I'm real proud of the way I was able to throw this together. I missed it when the intro, so just right before the outro, I like the way I did this today. I'm yeah.
Okay. We're going to praise you collectively.
Yes.
All right. Yes, sir.
So for the again, and this is going in book 17. I'm not exactly sure when I'm going to be done, but I've allowed myself to just go until it feels right. I haven't really had a bad release of any books, and this one is a continuation of the childhood trauma series, except now that I've taken that 1 year in the mirror, this is what another year looks like. And I wrote this Friday. Washington was lucky enough to hear it first as something we do. But so, and again, my intro has changed. I thank everybody that's been a part with us, that loves the 5 Minutes of Heat, that's loves CSRN. So I'm an open book to those willing to read. 1,000 words to those who've only caught a glimpse of me, and a lifetime, it's a lifetime to those that can say they were a part of my story. Let's begin. Peace, happiness. What's your secret? I go to war every day with myself, battling back societal impressions of other people so I don't become them. Battling someone else over how they choose to live their life is not making me any better. I don't win every battle, And on those instances, I choose to stay still, look deeply in the mirror and figure out why I have a problem with this. I've done this for so long. My mirror exists wherever I go. It's more of a moment that I learn to take for myself. So I don't harm, yes, I don't harm anyone else on the outside with instances of trauma done to me by someone that was probably unaware of what they were doing long term. I don't try to be perfect. I just try to be the best version of myself because I never know who I'm going to meet. And even if I meet a worse version of them, maybe by seeing the best version of me will cause them to pause themselves. This moment has taken a lifetime, and even when I do fail, I don't beat myself up because I know I am willing to get back up and do better, holding myself accountable for whatever wrong I've done and might have done unknowingly, trying to make peace with moving forward. So it's not so much of a secret, but a journey I chose to take. If I thought anything about this was safe or fair, yes, fair, then I would just do what everyone else is doing. I hope this helps in whatever weird, creative way my brain structured these words to come out in peace.
You know, as always, we snap our fingers. I want to thank you. Thank you, Jody. Man, I don't have much to say.
Right.
I loved it.
We're
I loved it
closing
as
out.
always.
Yeah, we're closing out our last podcast for the year. We pray that all of us are have a safe, transition to the new year. You know,
Planning to see you.
Yeah.
Hopefully to see you in 2 weeks.
That's right. And if we could give a one-word statement or short phrase regarding what you thought about this discussion that we had, what would it be? What would it be for you, Jody?
Positive.
Positive. Anika, Sister Anika, if you could give a one-word statement or a short phrase on what you thought about what we've done today, what would it be for you?
Fulfilling.
Mine would be powerful. What about you, Julian? A short phrase or a one-word statement?
Revolutionary.
Revolutionary. And as always, we believe that all lives can't matter until Black lives matter. And Black lives can't matter until
all Black lives.
Black lives matter.
Yes, sir. Justice or else.
Yeah.
Peace. All right, Jody. Great job. Great job.
Nice, everybody.